And the last I looked, you know, on the Steinbeck, I mean, we're talking $80,000 we've paid the lawyers for the Steinbeck case this year. You know, so
the trial is scheduled for August. It was pushed out because plaintiff's counsel requested it that it be pushed out for various reasons, and the court granted it. They're reticent to not grant continuances for such large, complex issues when a petitioner requires it. And so it was supposed to be January, and it got continued to August. And it got continued to August. So that trial date will occur. The judge typically has 90 days to issue a decision from that date, because I believe it's a bench. I don't think it's a jury this time. And after that, it depends, depending on that decision, the plaintiffs, if they lose, they may appeal, and then it keeps going. So it's hard to say when it is, exactly when it is done, like fully adjudicated, until the trial occurs and we know what the outcome is.
yeah, well, to me, I mean, like, on that whole, the district has spent $1.5 million on all that Steinbeck cases and so on. And I don't think we won one case.
That is not true. We've been over this.
Yeah, but
Is the question related to the financial report or to Steinbeck? Because we're not.
Well, it's related to the expenditures.
yeah, to the expenditure, yeah,
So
yeah. But like I said, I checked how much we were paying the lawyers for different things,
Okay.
and that said Steinbeck.
Yeah.
One, it was 50,000, and the other one was 70,000.
The expenditures are public because the board voted to make that public. However, discussion regarding participation in the case and trial strategy and anything related to why the district is involved or how long it's going to be involved and what is involved in that needs to be discussed in closed session unless the board wants to completely waive privilege, which I do not recommend.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, a lot of money.
Any other questions?
Do we have any other board comment?
No, I don't think so. Is there any public comment on this item? No. Okay. Do we have any motions from the board?
Just a consensus?
Just a consensus?
Yeah, to receive and file?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to November.
Okay. Number 3, monthly claim detail and investment reports for November 2025.
So again, you have the summary in revenue and expense reports and interest report or investment reports for November 2025. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you. I don't have any questions or comments. Do you, gentlemen?
No, I got it.
Any public comments on this item? No. Okay. Just consensus again?
Consensus again, yeah?
Yes, receive and
Yes,
file.
Yes.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 4. Declaration of board member vacancy and vote to proceed with appointment or special election to fill the vacancy.
Thank you. The unfortunate passing of Director Green has created a vacancy on the board. Therefore, the board is required to declare a vacancy and either fill the position within 60 days, or the County Board of Supervisors can fill the position, or the board can call a special election, which would be held on June 2nd, 2026. If the board would like to fill the vacancy by appointment, the board would direct staff to proceed with posting the notice of vacancy. We've suggested January 12th at 5 p.m. as the closing date, with the applicants doing public interviews at the January 22nd, 2026 regular board meeting. If the board is to call a special election, it must be submitted to the county for the ballot prior to the next board meeting, and it would go to the voters, and the seat would remain empty until at least January 2nd, 2026. It always depends on if people want to put in for the seat, obviously, when you call for special election.
Right.
There is no specific policy that this board carries for appointment of board members. It is on the list. Unfortunately, it did not happen before the passing of Director Green. And so you are bound just by the limitations of the law, which really just provides for your timeframes for appointment, and that it must be someone who resides within the district and is a registered voter within the district.
We're very short on policies. I guess my personal opinion, I wouldn't want the district to bear the cost of the special election. The cost would fall on the district, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So that seems, and the seat would be vacant for the next 6 months. If we were to go that way, and we went the route of a special election, that person would take the seat presumably in July?
As soon as they can be sworn in as soon as the results are certified by the county. And so it would be fairly immediate.
Okay, but it would just be the remainder of Director Green's term?
That's correct, until December 2027.
Okay.
28. It's 28? 2028, excuse me, pardon me.
So if it's an election, it goes to 2028. If it's an appointment, it goes to November 2026, if I'm correct.
Yeah, why
The
do
remainder of his term?
Yeah.
Not if they're appointed, right? It goes to this next election in November.
No, if they're appointed, they fill the remainder of the vacancy, or the remainder of the seat, right?
No.
That's how
That's if it's elected. All appointments, as what I've learned, and I could be totally wrong, I mean, she is the expert, is they go until the very next time when you can have an election. Well, okay. Then I'm wrong.
Okay. Well,
I would go with county.
I think whichever way, I mean, I would expect that they would fill the remainder of the term that exists, because there's an election cycle, 3 seats and 2 seats that are opposing on different schedules. Spending the money for a special election, I don't really think anyone here is interested in spending the money, so my vote would be to appoint somebody. My guess is that we would ask for letters of interest and review the letters of interest and see who's qualified, and then have interviews with those individuals
Yes.
at the board meeting.
So the general process is that the board issues a notice of vacancy. That notice is posted at all the normal agenda posting places and on our website. Last time we mailed a notice of vacancy as well to all the residents of San Miguel.
In the water bill?
It was in the water bill last time. We're not in a water bill cycle with this one, so it'd be a separate mailing. But once that occurred, that would list basically notices in the agenda that we previously used. But it just advises the community that we have a vacancy, what the term is, and that they can put in a letter of interest to the district with a deadline of 4 p.m. on January 12th. That'll give us enough time to put them all together and get them on to the January 22nd board meeting. At that meeting, all of the ones that qualified would be, or all those letters of interest would be presented to the board. The board would interview all of them, or all the ones that wanted to be interviewed. And then from whoever was interviewed, the board would be able to select one to fill that open seat.
Okay,
I'm sorry, was John elected in 2023 or 2024?
His term would end in 28, so.
So it was 2024?
Yeah, it was.
That's, my apologies. For some reason, I was thinking he was elected in 2023 and that he had served half of his term. Because he hasn't served half his term, it would be the next general election. So November 2026 is when it would be filled until December, because they're not appointed until December. So it will go on the ballot for November 2026, regardless.
If it goes to an election. in
Even if
June.
you do a special, so you do a special, you pay for a special election,
Yeah, that's-
and then you pay for the general election.
June, November, yeah.
That's no good.
Council?
Yes.
Now, he was only on the board for under a year. So
Correct.
he came on the board last year, but it was a 4-year term.
Right, if it had been, exactly. So if it had been 2023, like I was thinking, he would have served half of his term, and then it
Yeah.
would go all the way through. But since he didn't serve half of his term, it only goes up to the next general election, which is November 2026.
okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, if we appoint somebody, or if the board appoints somebody now or in January, then their term would be through 2026. They could elect to participate in that election and run again and maybe retain their seat through 2028.
Okay.
I do find talking to the community, it is kind of nice with these appointments that, to see what it's like for a few months and then decide to run. It makes it not so scary. I have people ask me all the time, 4 years is a lot of commitment. So,
It'll be on the board more than a year, right, because it's November of 2026.
Yeah,
He'd be on the board for about a year.
about a year, yeah. It's not a commitment.
Yeah.
Just feedback from the community that I've heard.
Yeah. Okay, well, I would be in favor of appointing somebody. What do you guys think?
I'd be in favor of appointing somebody also.
So we'll need public comment before we have.
Yeah, of course. Is there any public comment on this item?
Just clarification. Just clarification. So they have to be a resident of San Miguel and a registered voter, like that's literally it?
Those are the
Like, as a
minimum, those are the
qualification.
minimum qualifications under state law, and the district does not have any more restrictive policies. Oh, and you must be over the age of 18.
Yeah.
They have to be used to voting.
Correct.
Okay. Any other public comment? No. Do you need to vote on this? or-
So you do need a vote.
Okay.
So
With motion to go the direction of appointment.
So you need a motion to declare the vacancy and a vote to proceed with appointment.
Okay, so I would motion to declare the vacancy and fill the role by appointment.
I second it.
Appointment. Davis. Okay, I have a motion on the floor to declare vacancy and to fill the role by the appointment. Is that how you guys worded it?
yes.
Yes.
By Director Sangster, second by Director Davis. We'll have a vote. Director Davis.
Yes.
Director Beatty.
Yes.
Director Sangster.
Yes.
Passes 3-0, 1 absent.
Okay, moving on to item number 5. Authorize the general manager to contract with AWOL Engineering for repairs to well 3, installation of a variable frequency drive at well 3, and associated budget adjustment of up to $26,000 by resolution 2025-49.
Thank you. This is to review and approve resolution authorizing repairs and installation of a variable frequency drive. Essentially, well 3 is one of our 3 potable water wells. Historically, of the 3 wells we have, well 3 is our problem child. It was originally put in the 50s. Since then, it's been provided with numerous pumps and relined. We're currently having a issue with the foot valve, as well as potentially a break in the line, necessitating the removal of the pump from the well. To fix both of those problems, the removal and reinstallation of the well is approximately $14,000. At the same time, we're recommending installing a variable frequency drive so that we can better control the ramp up and ramp down of the well, reduce strain on the pump, and to better fit the long-term needs of the district for our water supply issues. The VFD installation is $9,531. We're requesting a total of $26,000 in order to account for minor additional costs that may come up during the removal or reinstallation of the well pump itself. In any case, a budget adjustment would be required in the total amount of this project.
Okay. Where is the funding coming from?
So the funding right now would be coming from the general operating fund, so general revenue cash.
Okay. The VFD is not the pump itself?
The VFD is what controls the power going to the pump, so it'll provide power at a lower or lesser hertz, so that it brings the pump up slower.
Okay.
And then it'll basically go from 0 up to 60 hertz in a controlled capacity instead of just going from 0 to 60 right when the switch turns on.
So it's essential like electronic control.
Yeah, it's like a rheostat basically for the
Understood. And what's the service life of the VFD?
So in this application, it'll most likely outlast the pump, which is probably 15 to 20 years.
Okay.
Huge electrical box.
What?
It's just a huge electrical box. I've had one put in on a car years ago.
Okay. Comments or questions?
Saves water lines.
How deep is that well, Kelly?
It's 300 feet.
Any other board comments or questions?
I'm pretty, well, number 3 is the one on Benito, right?
It's the one right there.
Oh, on Soka?
No, on 12th Street, right here.
Yeah, okay.
The other side of the parking lot.
Okay. Because you got 1, 2, and then the San Luis one, right?
Yeah, so there's this one on Bonita,
Yeah,
and the
okay,
San
so
Luis.
this one right on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this estimate covers a new pump and then all the electrical to make it a multivariate speed, right?
So this estimate covers pulling the pump out, replacing the foot valve, putting the pump back in, and putting in the VFD completely. It doesn't include a new pump. The pump that we have is still pumping. It's still pumping at the expected rate.
Right.
So we don't anticipate having to replace the pump itself.
All right.
Anything else? All right, any public comment? No? All right, back to us. We have a motion,
I motion to approve.
second,
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to approve resolution 2025-49 by Director Beatty, second by Director Sangster. Have a vote. Director Beatty?
Yes.
Director Davis?
Yes.
Director Sangster?
yes.
0 with 1 absent.
Okay, moving on to item number 6, table from 10/23/25 board meeting. Authorize the general manager to execute a not to exceed time and material contract with Water Systems Consulting for program management support through permitting and construction phases of the expansion and upgrade of the Machado wastewater treatment facility by Resolution 2025-41.
So, yeah, this item was tabled from October for additional information regarding what the original contract was for, which is shown lower in the report, but essentially this is for additional project management, permitting and construction assistance to the district for the wastewater treatment plant expansion in the amount of $55,507.10. The original contract was $273,135, which was entered into in 2020 or 2022. So over the last almost 4 years, 3 years.
Okay.
And I believe it was discussed in October, but this is part of the planning grant and would be part of the construction grant for the treatment plant, so this is reimbursable under those funds.
Okay. And where's this funding coming from?
Initially, it's coming out of the regular wastewater revenue account, or the operational cash account, but as I just mentioned, it'll be reimbursed through the grant.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Questions or comments?
Yeah, WSC, I think it was anyway, I signed a check to them for $40,000, and then a month or two later, I signed it for one for 25 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. You probably remember, right?
They are working on quite a few projects for us right now.
Yeah, right. But is any of the checks that I've signed, is it going towards any of this?
Not this in particular, no.
Okay. All right.
Anything else? Any public comment?
Director Campbell, this is a time and materials contract to fill out paperwork. Is there not a specification on how long it should take to fill out the paperwork, and why can't it be a bid? They can look at the job and see what it entails and bid on it like other contractors would do it. Why do we have to pay them time and materials to do that? It just seems like a out of control kind of a process. I've done time and materials and it can get out of control.
Agreed. Thank you. As I understand, it's additional scope in an existing agreement. Is that right?
So this is an additional scope in an existing agreement, but this is also not to exceed. So as a time and materials, we're able to control the overall cost, whereas a bid, we would just be paying, if it was $55,000 on a bid, then we'd be paying $55,000. In this case, if it turns out they only need $45,000, then, we have a savings there. But this is not to exceed. And they are a pretty honest company and they stick to their word. So. As you can see in this report, there's 5 different tasks that are associated with this contract. One of them is complete or has a remaining budget for grant administration, but items 2 and 3, those costs were not spent. They did not bill us extra just so they could fill out that form. Those are being reassigned, that funding was being reassigned so that it would offset the additional costs under a program management and construction application or construction management. So.
Very good, thank you. Any other public comment? No. All right. May I have a motion?
Yeah, I motion to approve.
A second?
I have a motion on the floor to approve resolution 2025-41 by Director Beatty, second by Director Sangster. Have a vote. Director Beatty?
Yes.
Director Davis?
No.
Director Sangster?
Yes.
So it fails 2-1.
2-1-1.
If there's no other motions, then we'll move on. We will need these services, so I don't know if the board's willing to bring it back when we have a full board or not, or a more full board.
I would say we can bring it back when we have at least our fourth member.
Is everybody okay with that?
I am.
Okay, then I'll return when we have our fourth member.
Yep. Okay. We'll move on from item number 7. Review and approve contract amendments number 7 and number 8 with Wallace Group for additional work related to the separation and preparation of separate construction documents, bid phase support, and support during construction for installation and connection of the switchgear purchased under separate board action, and 2, construction of perimeter fencing around the Chata wastewater treatment facility expansion parcel.
So several months ago, the board approved the purchase of switchgear for the wastewater treatment plant in order to meet the time frame to keep our NEM 2.0 solar status. These two items are in relation to that. The first is the installation and connection of the switchgear purchased under that separate board action, and the second is the perimeter fencing around the property north of the wastewater treatment plant, which would be necessary to encompass the space where the switchgear would be going and where the solar would be going. This is additional work above what the original contract with Wallace Group was for. Essentially, the majority of the work is already complete under our 100% plans. This is the work to separate out these two items for bid separately because we don't have a funding agreement with the state for the construction of the treatment plant. These would have to go out before that in order to, again, meet our NEM 2.0 deadline for the installation and operational ability of the solar. The switchgear installation to get to the bid packet ready and for bid assistance and contracting assistance is $21,600. And for the perimeter fencing for amendment number 8 is $9,735. The perimeter fencing is a little less defined in the 100% packet, so that's why it's still $9,000. But again, both of these would be necessary for us to get to a point where we could have the solar installed and solar turned on. And both of these are above the original contract with Wallace Group. These are not to exceed contracts with Wallace Group. So I don't know if the board has any questions regarding these.
I do. So will the cost of the switchgear and or the installation be recovered through the solar company that's installing the solar equipment? Or this is just our costs as a standalone cost?
So these costs are not part of the solar company or
Yep.
Forefront. I'm trying to think of the name. It's not a cost that's covered by them.
Okay.
These are the switchgear, and the switchgear installation and the fencing are all necessary regardless of whether we have solar or not.
Okay.
The fact that they're being pushed up is in order to keep the NEM 2.0 status of our solar, which is a pretty good benefit to the district overall. But realistically, this would have to be done before pretty much anything else was done once we start the construction.
Okay. What kind and how many linear feet of fence are we talking about?
I don't know that I have the total fence length in this report.
Slat fence, chain link fence, steel fence?
There'll be chain link fence with barbed wire, three roll barbed wire on top of it, just like our current fence is. I want to say that it's about a half mile of fence total to connect both ends going around the the expansion property.
Okay. Did we seek any other quotes? I mean, Wallace Group is not necessarily a fence company.
So this is just for the plans to go out to bid.
I see. So this is just for plans to put a fence in.
This is for the, yeah, as ridiculous as that sounds. So the fencing is less critical, that has a less critical path, and if the board so desired, we could just direct solicit fencing quotes for that.
Well, my question, why would we be paying Wallace Group to create documents for us to bid on a fence when we could just run an RFP for a fence?
We were just trying to be consistent with the overall trajectory of the treatment plant. It's not something that is necessarily required. We could write a separate RFP. There obviously is a cost to writing a separate RFP, as well as the overall cost of managing that RFP, as you all know. But I don't know that that would be $9,000.
Right, I mean, if we're managing it, I mean, if we're, you said it's half a mile of fence, chain link, 3 wire bar. No gates.
There's 4 gates.
Okay.
I mean, the overall spec and design is pretty simple. The bigger ask here is having the overall design of that, or the location of that, I guess, which, just to be clear, for bidding purposes, would need to be outlined for them.
Right, but I mean, it's, if you already have the spec of the chain link fence and the 3 barbed wire, how many feet you want between anchor posts? I mean, it isn't like Wallace Group has to do any sort of engineering. And they're just, we're paying them just to create the documents? I'm not really understanding what their role is.
Big specs for utilities. Are there any utility lights out there?
Yeah, so essentially, they're solidifying the spec that we already have, providing a plan or plan sheets for that, providing bid support for that, and then, you know, if, not that there's a lot of engineering support for a fence, but if there was engineering support, that would be included in this. If you'd like for me to investigate what it's gonna cost for us to do it on our own and bring the RFP back as a separate item, then we can do that.
Well, if we still have to bid, you know, seek qualified fence companies that can perform the work, and you already have this fence spec, I mean, if there's any drawings that are necessary, then the companies that we're proposing would likely provide that as a component of being able to install the fence, because you can't install it without the drawings, right?
Right.
So, I mean, if we're paying them, it just seems like we're wasting almost $10,000 with Wallace Group, when if you're gonna run a bid, the company who's gonna install the fence is gonna have it anyway. They'll have to.
And